One of the signatures of J.C. Higgins bikes was the elaborate paint schemes and especially the hand pin striping. George is going to take a pattern off the forks right now so that he can get it just the way it was the day it was new.
Sometimes you have to really wing doing things like this when what you're trying to trace isn't really clear.
George has been doing freehand artwork for over 30 years. Airbrushing, pinstriping, lettering, his steady hands, his eye on design. He sees things most people don't, and it makes him one of the best at what he is.
And what I'm trying to trace is the red pinstripe, which is the actual outside edge of this design. So when Andy goes to paint this design on here, this will be the size he has to do, and then all I've got to do is put the thin red stripe around the outside for the accent. After I get this traced out, I can clean it up. There's our tracing.
Now that George has the tracing done on the forks, I can get in the booth, paint the white paint. Once the paint dries, I can tape off all the white elements of the paint scheme, get it back in the booth, and paint it blue. All right, we're gonna set the stripes up there and get a rough measurement as to where they need to be. An inch. The last thing we wanna do is to mess this up. We've got a lot riding on this bike.
We're going to do some pinstriping on the forks here. We're going to use some tape as a guide so I can keep my gap between the stripes the same all the way down. Get us a little paint on the brush, and away we go. Left hand is the steady. The right hand runs along the front edge of the fork. Steady stroke, eyeballing the gap between the brush and the white all the way. Lift at the end. And don't stop and lift. You keep going when you lift. That way you get a nice, clean edge. You have to touch up, you go into the stripe, moving first before you set the brush down. Then that way you don't get an overlap where you have to wipe it off and totally redo it again. Nice and clean. And that's it.
You want things done right, you come to us. We are the best at what we do.
Wow, look at this thing. The size of this thing is a little intimidating.